Hey friends, welcome back. So today I want to go over a few things to consider before you buy the FR Neoc. All right, so I do want to talk about a few differences in the shell when compared to the FR1 UFRs. And, the first is that the toe box is about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch wider, and that's about the toe box back to the midsection of the foot when compared to the FR, basically standard shell skates. Another thing is when you look at the side profile, you can see that the shell sits a lot flatter. And then it seems like the cuff is actually like a little lower too. You can buy this in a single or a dual plastic thickness, and with the ones that I got, these are the Neo 2s, so they have the dual thickness in it. What it's meant to do is like make the upper like supposed to be a little softer so you can like cinch it into the foot more. And then the liner supposedly is made to fit the shell, and then they have the cuff, which is the four-way adjustable, so you can move it up, down, forward, back. And those are kind of the biggest differences with this new skate compared to the old FR skates. Just wanted to highlight something about the frames that I've heard. I personally didn't have this issue, but I've heard with some people who have the extruded aluminum frames, they're not extruded, they're the cast aluminum, that the axles basically came and they were so over tightened that when you loosen them, it basically stripped the threading. I personally didn't have that issue. I found that it was pretty easy to undo the axles. But if you do have that problem, then it sounds like you probably just need to file a warranty claim, and that is something that other people have experienced. So for a little backstory, I bought these skates about 3 weeks ago. My foot size is a 275 Mondo, and I followed the manufacturer's website for foot sizing. And basically what it says is that for a 275 Mondo, I should get the 43-44 shell size with the appropriate liner. In the past, I've ridden the FR1 deluxe skates with the Intuition liners, and then I've also ridden the FR UFR aggressive skates with the Intuition liners. And for me, that was really a perfect fit. But since the Neo was a new skate, I wasn't sure how this shell size would compare to the FR1s and the UFRs. But I've never ridden the FR liner, and that's something that I was kind of interested in to see how it compared. So I ordered these, and basically they were really comfy to start. But as I started skating them more and getting a few weeks into having them, one thing that I noticed is that the liner started to pack in, and I could feel my foot moving around on the inside of the liner, and it actually started rubbing and giving me blisters. And so one thing I did is I took the liner out after I got my blister and just kind of checked to see how my foot fit within the skate. And I noticed that I had about 1.5 to 2 inches of room between the end of my foot and the end of the shell on the inside, which was about 3 fingers. Like if I pushed my foot all the way forward and stuck my fingers in there, I could fit about 3 fingers in there, which tells me that this shell was way too big for me. Let's talk about the things to consider. So in my opinion, my foot falls at the very bottom of the sizing chart for this shell. And what that tells me is that the sizing chart is not accurate for my foot size with this liner because the skate is just way too big for me. And if I were to continue to ride these, that liner would only get looser, and it would probably cause me more issues than I'm willing to deal with. But if your foot is at the top of a shell size, then I would say that this skate is going to be a better fit for you. Honestly, looking back, knowing what I know now, I would have ended up getting this skate with the Intuition liner because it's very apparent that this shell size is just way too big for me. If you've got a very wide foot, then this skate is going to be absolutely perfect for you. The one thing is that I found that with 110 wheels, this cuff was very, very flexy. And so one of the first things I did is just raised it up to give me a little more support. And then, as I was riding these, it was very hard. So even though the laces and the soft part is kind of soft, it's very hard to actually get the laces to pull this together and cinch it all. And I found that the ratchet straps did most of the work for getting everything sucked in, but it also kind of hit a point where it was like I was ratcheting it so tight trying to get my foot locked in there so it wouldn't move, that it ended up like starting to cut off circulation, which is just another thing that says that this shell was way too big for my foot, and I was basically trying to lock it into something that was too big to keep it from moving around. And so, over time that liner would only pack in more, which means that it's going to be even harder to get my foot restrained. Again, more evidence that this is just too big for me. One other thing that I noticed is with the frames, it seems like the center of balance is kind of shifted outwards a little more, and I think it has something to do with like how your foot falls within the skate and it's putting more weight to the outside. And so what that means is when you're riding, it wants to push your foot over the edge. So if you move that frame out, it's going to keep your foot more vertical. So just be aware that if you've got that like falling out feeling with it, you may need to push those frames just out a little bit, just to catch your weight and balance. So I've got my FR ones here, and one thing that I want to do is just give you guys kind of a side-by-side comparison. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but that is the top view of the skate, and you can see how this one is way wider than this one here. Here's kind of a comparison with the cuff heights. Here's another view. And just kind of a side view with these. And honestly, these may not actually be that much flatter. It could just be that they're so wide that they look flatter too. Now that I'm kind of looking at it, I didn't really have any issues with it bunching up in my toe box. So if I were to go back, I would definitely buy this skate with the Intuition liner and the smaller shell size. I may do that down the road, but honestly, I was a little discouraged by the sizing chart that I want to try something else. But I would say, if you are looking at getting this skate, I would honestly look at the sizing chart for the FR Intuitions, because that is going to give you a better idea what size foot can actually fit inside the shell. And even if you buy the stock liner with this, it may be like uncomfortable for a bit, but I suspect that that's going to pack in and then be like an absolute perfect fit. Or just opt for the additional like $100, get the Intuition liner, and set sail. I think that kind of hits on everything with my experience on these so far. And, it really made me want to make a video just kind of talking about what this experience was like. Because if I knew now what I knew 3 weeks ago, I would not have bought these in the size that I did, and may have ended up with something else altogether. But hopefully, since this is a new skate, this information is helpful for anybody who is looking for this kind of information to weigh, what size should I get? How does it fit? This isn't a long-term review just because I'm not going to be riding them for the long term. But basically just wanted to highlight some of the changes and things to consider if you're looking to purchase these, because I don't want you to waste your money. I want it to be truly a perfect fit for you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks all for watching, and we'll catch you next time.